How's it going, guys? In today's video, we're going to be going over the Danger Room and everything you need to know to win Danger Room. Not just to finish milestones, which we will talk about for sure, but also to literally win the leaderboard. We're also going to talk about some garbage teams to avoid, and honestly, what I think they should really look at doing to improve the experience of the Danger Room game mode. So let's go ahead and jump right into it, starting with how scoring works, because besides the milestone portion, this is a really big unknown for a lot of players. So one thing we know for sure is that, yes, doing difficulty 10 is going to be getting you all those milestones, and there's some good stuff in here. Of course, there's a 50 Azazel shards, there's 8 gear tier 20 orbs, we have some diamonds in here, some decent amount of gold, purple ISO for those who still need Odin, training materials, all the stuff that we would want, right? And also these T4 ability orbs, which is great. So there's lots of cool stuff in there, but there's also these ranked awards. Now, personally, frames, not quite doing it for me, but if it is for you, you're definitely going to want to see how the scoring works here. So, we got the Azazel frames for the top 100, and then for everybody up to the top 1,000, we have kind of a downgraded version, and then so on and so forth, until we get to the point where everybody is going to be getting this Sonic ring. It's a Sonic ring, I don't know what to say. Now, the leaderboards are crazy, right? So, you get 100,000 points for beating difficulty 10, just straight up for beating difficulty 10. You can see this person scored an additional 10,200 points, and I scored an additional 8,696 points. Now, it's not exactly obvious at first glance how this works. A couple people thought it was just the less amount of characters you use, the better you do. People thought more combat nodes you do equals more better score, and those people were right, but there's more to it than that. Normal combat is going to be giving you between 50 and 100 of the combat tokens. Those are the purple tokens. At the end of the run, the amount of excess purple tokens you have, and apparently excess health packs you have, will bump up your score. Elite combat missions are going to give you between 100 and 200, so obviously if you're trying to score high, you want to really focus on those elite combat missions as much as possible, but you got to keep an eye on the score. Now, we're going to go in here to the game, and we're going to do this first opening node. This is just a regular combat node. Actually, I already beat this one. Doesn't really matter what it should take. We'll talk about modifiers in a bit. So let's go in here. You notice this is 3 enemies. It does not matter how many enemies there are. It does not matter how many turns you take. It doesn't matter the enemies that are on the node. It doesn't even matter how many characters you take into combat. It is straight RNG as to how many points you're going to get from the point total. So it's going to be between 50 and 100. It's gave me 92. This is a really good roll. I'll tell you right now, the node prior to this actually gave me 94. That is a absolute sweet roll. Now, why you would want to focus on combat missions more than anything else for your best score is that it just removes the chance of getting points if we do this care package. Some teams have to have extra characters even to get through the mode. So there's going to be one favorite team, one favorite duo. I was just using them. It's Emma and Rachel. They're the best. We want to avoid the care package nodes, and we only want to do the combat missions, is what this comes down to. That's what this math comes down to, if you will, okay? There will be some times, and it happened to me on my best run, where you just saw I was like rank 54 or 84 or something like that. I had to choose between a care package and health packs. And at the time, I didn't know health packs could actually give you points at the end. And that's not, I haven't confirmed that, by the way. That's just something that was told to me. Somebody had like near identical Danger Room tokens to somebody else, vastly outscored them because they had health packs. So take that with a grain of salt. If anyone has confirmation of that, please let me know. But let's continue on. So, how to fix the scoring? Because I'm going to talk about this first before we get into everything else. Because I have a big problem with this, and I think a lot of you will too. We have RNG on which mods we get through the gameplay. We have RNG on which nodes we have to tackle. Like, are we going to have to tackle 5 Mephisto nodes? That makes it a lot harder, right? And then you have RNG built on top of how much points you actually get per node, and it's completely out of control. It's just RNG. It's kind of the worst way to do scoring in the world, in my opinion. It's why I personally am not interested in leaderboard, but I wanted to let everybody know the best team to do it and how it works for those who aren't. The easiest way to fix this, and I think it's a brilliant way to fix it and really kind of change how the leaderboard is going to, get kind of suffocating, is to add an option either in this store node or make a brand new node if you want. That gives you the option to increase the enemy's stats for extra combat tokens. And don't just do one option. Have it be 3 options. Right now in the store, how we can get... Actually, we can go right back into the store for a second. We can go into the store right here. Maybe they can change what the care package looks like. And it's going to give us, say this was just 3 options, right? If it was like the rules instead of characters. And have one be, you know, get 100 combat tokens, but the enemies gain 20% stats. Gain 200 combat tokens, but the enemies gain 150% stats. And then you do a really, really absurd one, right? And make it so that it's actually more interesting to hit these nodes, and then maybe we're actually going to have to add characters instead of the 2-character meta, which is the best way to get a high score right now. So let's talk about that. Let's go over the best teams, the best characters, the best starting, and of course, the pre-game advice before you jump into Danger Room, before you try to do a difficulty 10 run or a high score run. So, best pre-game packs are going to be the Hellfire Royal Flush, Speeding Ticket, Agile, all the damage stats, and then the defensive stats. We don't need the Cosmic Ghost Rider passive where we're taking less damage and they lose all their focus, because honestly our characters are going to be way too fast to benefit from that anyway. We don't need anything for a Cursed. We don't need the exhaust one, but the exhaust one could be helpful, but we don't need it. So there's lots of things that we could skip along the way. These are the best pregame packs. And if you really want to crunch your time down, just Hellfire Royal Flush, Speeding Ticket, and Agile, those 3 are the ones that are pretty, I'm not going to say essential, but those are the ones that are going to really fly you through the mode as long as you get the one in-game mod that we're going to talk about. The best starting characters, in my opinion, are going to be Storm and then Rachel. This opens up a lot of interesting packs for you. Taking Emma does make a lot of sense here if you have her at really big stars and your Rachel is small, though the rental characters are perfectly fine. For that pregame stuff, if you are a newer player, you can farm difficulties 5, 6, 7, however high you can go, and you can actually rent these characters. As long as you have Rachel unlocked, then when the version you get from her in game is like gear tier 20 is crazy. Like the Rachel in the rental store for me is far bigger than my Rachel. My Rachel is 3 stars. The Rachel they gave me is 7, and it's like a 600,000 collection power difference, and it's really nice actually. She does a lot of damage. But yeah, these are the best 2 stars in my opinion. If you're forced to take a 3rd character, I do think Emma's interesting, but I do want to note that there's going to be a couple mods we're about to talk about where you cannot actually get the Omega level threat Emma mod unless you have both Emmas. That is in the JSON. That is confirmed. You cannot get the Omega level threat Emma unless you have both Emmas on your team. But these are the order in which I would take the mods as soon as you see it. As soon as you see Omega level threat Storm, this is by far the most impactful mod in the game right now. Not only is it giving you an incredible amount of damage, but is increasing your speed to a staggering like 374 or something absolutely ridiculous like that. I'm going to see if I can get it real quick. The mod that I like the best after that is actually going to be Energized Strikes. On kill, generate 1 ability energy for self and adjacent allies. Why I really like this one is because Storm's ult costs a lot. I think it's a 10 cost ability, right? But she can get her charged up really quickly when she has an Omega level threat Storm, because she's taking like 2 or 3 turns back to back. So as soon as I get Omega level Storm, I start hunting for that Energized Strikes. If I see it, it's the next one I get, because I'll be able to basically do special ult, special ult, special ult. It super controls the first enemy wave because they all have slow, and then after that, the ult just completely obliterates people, and of course this special gives you a lot of charges. After that though, I really like the Stunning Attire mod. This mod is only available if you have Rachel on your team. Why I really like this one as a 3rd, and this is honestly why I actually prefer to have Rachel as my 2nd character pick instead of that Emma, even if I have a smaller Rachel, is because if there's a node where there's a Mephisto or an Odin, this mod will stun them. Even if they're not supposed to be stunned. It will stun them and they'll stay stunned. But more than that, if there's a Mephisto and there's lots of death proofs, and I only have 2 or 3 characters, because maybe I'm going for a really high score, then I can stun the people who have death proofs instead of having to force myself to figure out a way to kill them through 3 death proofs. And so I've actually had it where I had just my Storm, and I had just Rachel, and there was 10 enemies and they all had death proofs. And I was like, I'm gonna die. But then Storm did her special, and she stunned everybody. She just stunned everybody. And he's a little bit RNG to it, but I can quit out and reset if that's what I want to do, right? So I really, really like this Stunning Attire mod. And let's actually see. Look at this score, 200. This is such a great score. This is actually a go-to run. I might have to actually complete this run and see if I get a decent score and get that frame. But let's see if we get one of those killer mods. And I'll kind of show you a little bit of how I prioritize things here. So go for the claim. This is tough. This is tough. but it's not. You always go for a mega level threat storm. Let's jump right into a combat mission, and I want to show you what I'm talking about when I'm talking about that speed that she gets. So I think it's 374. And then she gives herself speed up when it's her turn. So she's taking a lot of turns back to back. That's why I really like her Omega level mod in conjunction with the Rachel Storm stun, because she will be able to stun entire waves. All right, we only have the special. Let's just go ahead and do it here, I suppose. And actually, let's check her speed while we're here. Stats, she has speed up. She's at 374. I guess this is with the speed up, keep in mind. But this is still much faster than she was. What's this down? This is what, 150 plus 35 plus 37? It's like 187 speed stat or something like that is where she's actually. And then she gets to speed up and she just compounds it. And look, she's taking 2 turns before they get to go. Absolutely love it. One thing I do want to mention, though, is Rachel doesn't actually have a Omega level. Oh, also, when she's the Omega level threat, she's doing that Professor X permanent damage. Look how many turns she's taking before the enemy even gets to get out of bed. I absolutely love it. See? I absolutely love it. It's great. All right, let's get back to the video. Sorry, I'm actually having fun playing it. After that, I really like the Carnage boon. It's kind of funny. We just saw a bunch of symbiotes. I really like the Carnage boon because, again, if I'm on that Professor X, on that Mephisto nodes, and I have to beat up a bunch of people that have death proofs, Carnage boon could help me get an additional turn on top of the Omega level Storm threat speed stat stuff, which is great. Raider Hands is another one that's really helpful against those Mephistos. And we're talking about Mephistos a lot because there's a lot of Mephistos in the stage room. But essentially what this does is for every extra Raider character you have above 1, you're going to get an evade and you're going to get a counterattack. Why this is really good against those Mephistos is because when he does that mind control attack, which was one-shotting my characters, you evade it. You'll evade the damage. Not the mind control part, but you'll evade the damage. Now, we're starting to get into what I consider the lesser mods. There are some decent combo mods you can put together to kind of emulate the above things. For instance, Energized Strikes, there's a mod that when you hit into bleed, you get energy. Well, that's not super helpful because characters like Storm and Rachel, they don't innately put out bleeds very often. And so you can actually get the other mod called Entry Wound. I think it's like Vampire Energy and the other one's called Entry Wound. And Entry Wound puts bleed on all enemies right away. And that's just fantastic because then your first hits are giving you energy. You saw there, Storm might have been taking a billion turns, but she wasn't actually getting energy. She wasn't actually able to ult. And I actually did lose that node just now, so that run's dead. So there's a couple of different ways that you could emulate some of the above. Black Panther boon is a decent one over the Carnage boon, although of course you have to get killed, so it doesn't help against the Mephistos. And so you want to be mindful of that. Like the top 5, I think are what I really aim for to make sure that I'm just boosting my Storm up so she can do everything. And that's how you're able to beat the mode with just those 2 characters. But of course, you can add additional characters to make it easier if you're just going for the milestone points. And actually, we should head back for a second because these are the best starting characters. But unless you're going for, a high score run to get those frames, you do not need to stay with just 2 characters. If I was to do like a 3rd, 4th, 5th next to Storm and next to Rachel, it would be Emma X, then it'd be OG Emma, and then I actually really like Shadow King. And if we can get Shadow King with Energized Strikes and Storm Omega, we're popping off. It's crazy. Like, you will instantly walk over the mode and get your milestone points, and if you don't have the characters built up, this is where you use your rentals. You get 10 rentals a day. This is not actually hard to get the maximum rewards, even if you don't have a roster anywhere near getting this done, so long as you farm up the danger tokens from a lower difficulty and equip those 3 opening like pre-game packs we talked about. Let's go back there for a second. Hellfire Royal Flush, Speeding Ticket, Agile. You get these 3 from farming the yellow tokens at lower difficulties. Head on over to difficulty 10, grab these characters we just talked about, grab these combat mods, and you're off to the races, my guy. It's a lot of fun. So let's finish this off by talking about what about the other teams. The other teams work, but you're never going to put up like a goated score. You're never going to be facing off for the leaderboards with those teams, especially the Accursed. The Accursed are, well, they're garbage. Without the Crucible rules turned on, they are absolute garbage. Yes, if you get the Cosmic Ghost Rider passive turned on, that mod, you get all their damage stats turned on, you get that energy stat turned on, Blade and Hood and Hellverine, you're going to have to add more characters in too. But you would be able to get through this. Where they struggle is with these 3 characters that we see right here. They do not do good against Mephistos, not outside of Crucible. They do okay against the Dormammus. They struggle a lot against the endgame Thanoses. The endgame Thanoses really wreck them. And the same is true for Fantastic Four. Once again, Fantastic Four is like so close to being able to walk over this, but you're going to need extra packs to beat it with them. And you're going to need more than 2 characters for sure. You're going to need to hunt for a good character. So, Fantastic Four, if you only have 2 of them, you're not stopping the Mephisto passives, and you're hitting the death proofs, and you're just absolutely wrecked, right? The Dormammus, they actually don't have permanent kills, so they struggle there. And the endgame Thanoses hit like trucks. This is actually why, in the last Danger Room, they had to take away most of the endgame Thanoses, because they were just demolishing the Fantastic Four. This is no longer the Fantastic Four Danger Room, and so they put some endgame Thanoses back in the mix. And that's why Fantastic Four and the Curse team are definitely not recommended for me. Storm is an older character. We all had to build her up for the raids, so I think it's fantastic. She's kind of the star of the show. And then Rachel is amazing if you have her unlocked early. If not, Emma X-Men works great, because she does have an ultimate that's on low cooldowns that hits multiple people. She just won't help you get that sort of stun pact, the stun combat mod, which I think is so valuable. And honestly, even if I was going just for completion, if I was a player who didn't have the characters unlocked, I'm not going to attempt a Fantastic Four, even if my Fantastic Four characters are bigger, and I'm not going to attempt a Curse run, because honestly, there are so many characters in this run that it feels difficult to get the characters you want, because they've added a lot here, right? We got Gambit added, Cable added, Storm added, Shadow King added, Emma X added, of course, all the Hellfire are added, and they're all great. But we also have Dr. Doom added, Silver Surfer added, Reed Richards, you know? We have Ghost Rider, Elsa, Blade. So there's so many characters in the potential character pool that I found when I was going for the Fantastic Four run, even if I was trying to get a 3rd or 4th member, I was having a hard time actually getting them to appear in the shops. Same thing was true for the Accursed. I was having a hard time getting my lineup kind of sorted out in the shops, whereas with the Storm and Rachel setup, that's it. That's all I really need to win. All the other characters I get along the way is just gravy, so long as I get some of these mods. And getting these mods is actually not hard at all, in my opinion. The Omega level Storm, Omega level Threat Storm, I see this one all the time. Energized Strike's a little bit more rare, but Omega level Threat Storm and Stunning Attire, I saw these ones more often than not. And those two can absolutely carry you to the finish line. You got to be a little more careful with your cooldowns than you saw I was there, because I was obviously recording this. Anyway, guys, hope this video finds you well. I hope it helps you with your Danger Room journeys. I think the rewards on the milestones are great. I think that, you know, competing for the leaderboards is maybe not for me because of the RNG, but if they did something like this, I'd be much more inclined to do so. Anyway, guys, hope you found this video enjoyable. I hope it helps you, and I hope you have yourselves a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.